Hi, I'm Nathan from Harrison Consoles, and I've had a lot of fun here lately learning more about the queue page in Harrison Mixbus32c version 8. And so I'm going to dive in here and show you a song that I've been working on and show you what it takes to add things to the slots after you record them onto the timeline and just how you can create a song. So the instruments I use on this song is a F-style mandolin from Eastman, and it's just really pretty and sounds great. I also use my Eastman acoustic guitar with the capo on the 3rd fret because I'm in the key of C minor or E flat major, and it just made more sense to put the capo on and pretend like I'm playing in the key of A minor instead of using all the bar chords. And I also use my Reverend Sensei electric guitar for all the electric parts, and I use my Headrush MX5 with a deluxe reverb model called up with some reverb and delay and some shimmer sounds, and that's how I got the guitar tones in this song. So let's go ahead and dive into the different clips and see what kind of sound I came up with. So you can see on each row I have multiple different clips, and some of those just started with a basic beat, and then I added a chord progression on top of that. So let's go ahead and listen to row E, and this is what I have. So it's just a very simple melody, but I feel like it fit the mood of what the guitar and the strings were doing. So the main effect I have in this section is a tremolo panner, which is really cool. So here's the rhythm guitar soloed up, and you can just hear what the tremolo is doing to the guitar effect. All right, cool. So it just has a great pulse. And the other part we have going on is a MIDI chord that is being affected by a few different plugins here. So I do have a MIDI chord that is playing a prime, a third, and an octave. Then the sound that I chose for this is a Synth Strings 1, and that's just from the general MIDI synth that comes with Mixbus. And of course we have the tremolo panner, and we have an Ace reverb after the fader. So let's turn off the tremolo and the reverb and just hear what this sounds like all by itself. Here it is with the reverb. So it gives it a little bit more space. And here it is with the tremolo. And Ben might have got a hold of this plugin and started messing around, and we both agreed that it sounded pretty good. So I'm just going to leave it how it is and give Ben a little writing credit on this one. And once again, here's the whole row with all the parts. Okay, here comes the next section. We added in some bass and some cymbals. Okay, here's a third variation. So that is the mandolin cut out, but we left the cymbal, but we still have the rhythm guitar, the strings, and the bass. So I feel like with those 3 variations of the same kind of sound, you can have a really cool intro and maybe a downed verse that kind of builds and builds, maybe till you get to the chorus section. And let's go ahead and listen to the chorus now. This is a totally different chord progression. Kind of has a Hotel California kind of sound to it, but depending on the melody you put on top, it can obviously sound however you want it to. So this is going to be triggered by F4 or row D. So that is basically all the parts that I have for this song. And what we can do now is actually go in and maybe fine tune some things and actually record some cues onto the timeline so we can trigger each row exactly when we want to. And then once that is established, we can add some vocals on top. I can do a guitar solo. There's just tons of stuff you can do after the arrangement is figured out. So just as a reminder, we have launch options, follow options, and stretch options for the MIDI and the audio clips. And there's also clip properties that we can incorporate as well. So let's go ahead and do some clip property stuff. I'm going to right click on this A. I want the first row to be a purple color. So it's going to help distinguish the different sections. And row B is going to be set with a lime green type color. And then the third row is going to be a blue. Fourth row is going to be, let's say, pink, because why not? And then row E is going to be yellow. Okay, so that makes things pop out a little bit more instead of all the text just being white within the blocks. And I do like organizing my session in colors. It just makes things really easy to visually see where I'm at depending on which section I'm working on. Okay, I am going to right click and set all the quantizations to 1 bar because typically when I trigger these rows with the F keys, I'm just going to do it within a bar that it needs to change, and then it switches over. Now, as a reminder, when you have multiple clips in the same column, we can use the clip property gain to raise or lower different clips depending on what the mood of the arrangement calls for. So for example, maybe on this row B, we want the bass to be a little bit lower. So let's just play row A and then go to B and then determine what a good mix of that would be. Sounds good so far. Okay, I think the bass is fine, but maybe the brush cymbal type stuff, maybe that could go down a little bit. And I already have it down by -4. But I feel like it could probably go down 1 more notch. So let's play the first row against the second row 1 more time and listen to those brush cymbals there. Okay, and here's B. See how it went down in volume? That works for me. You can do this with automation as well, but if you can go ahead and adjust it within the clip property itself, that's going to make things a lot easier down the road versus having to mess with lots of automation. Okay, let's go ahead and listen to the big verse 1 more time. I like the sound of that beat, but I want the little shaker percussion thing to be a little bit more muted. So we can actually use the low pass filter on the EQ section here. Maybe bring that down a little bit. So let's check it out now. This also gives it more of a lo-fi kind of sound. Filters off and with the filters on. I am filtering a little bit of that bass out because this is the other drums we have going on as well. And this is the the other beat. So really both beats have a very full sounding kick drum, and most of the time you don't want two competing low end instruments in the same space. So that's why I'm taking this bouncy beat right here and filtering the low end just a little bit. Otherwise it would sound like this. Let me just turn off the filters so you can hear what that sounds like. Get that really low end girth going in there. And here's with the filters back on. So it's not extreme. Let's see if I moved it up more and bring it back down. Here's with the other drums in. And with everything. Same thing for your bass. We can filter out some of the high end if we want. Just keep the low lows in there. Okay, so I think I'm ready to actually apply these different sections to the timeline, and let me show you how that's done. So we see a button up here that says record cues. When you press that, all the cues turn red. Now we can actually trigger different cues as the playhead's moving, and we can tell each row to trigger exactly when we want. So I'm going to return to the start of the session here and just press play. And I'm going to make sure the metronome is on so I know when to push the button according to the tempo. And let's just make an arrangement here. And how I got my recorded parts into the clips in the first place, I just basically used it as a scratch pad to start the metronome, and I played each part individually. And then I was able to consolidate each region and bounce them to a slot on each row so I can complete the arrangement that I wanted. So I'm actually going to put my marker out here and start the song after my scratch pad area. So it's going to make more sense when I start adding other things to the timeline. All right, so now we're at the start, and I'm going to go to the cue page here. Make sure record cues is enabled, and let's just press play and start adding some markers. Okay, here comes the next section. In the verse. So you could have singing right here, maybe a guitar melody, whatever you want. Okay, back to this melody. Chorus. And intro. So this is the turnaround section, and we're going to go ahead and cue row C. 2, 3, 4. So this helps the arrangement to develop as the song progresses more and more. We got more drums, more things going on in the second verse. And we're going to go ahead and hit the chorus. 1, 2, 3. Go with a third verse. I think a female singer would sound really good on this. And again. And we're going to have a guitar solo. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here comes the chorus. And we're going to do an outro right here. 2 and 3 and 4. And I can have this fade out. And start the fade right here. So now that we have the arrangement figured out, I know I want to fade out the last little section. So I'm going to add a fader automation onto my master bus. And we can go out here to the end and put in a automation point here and go ahead and drag that down. And let's first of all hear what this sounds like. We want to make sure that the play cues is enabled. So let's start back a little bit and just press play. Now we can go in and automate different things. So this string drone in section C, let's go ahead and bring that up. So let's do some automation here because I'm not really sure how that would affect the other sections if I just went ahead and brought up the fader, but we can find out real fast what's going to happen here. So we can hit D, bring in 2 points. We'll go ahead and bring this up a little bit. See what that sounds like now. All right, so that is going to be the solo section right there. Yeah, because then we're going to go back to our chorus, and then we're going to go to the outro. So let's go ahead and record a solo. So we're going to go to the record page. So on the record page is really great because we can see the signal coming in. And we can also add a track. So this is going to be lead electric. It's going to add that track to the bottom. And now I'm just going to go ahead and record. Make sure I'm in the spot where I need to be. And I am. All right, let's go ahead and record a little solo here. All right, so that works for me for the solo. Let's go ahead and listen back and blend it in. And then we'll do a final mix down, and that should be done. All right, cool. I'm fine with that for now. That works. Do a little crossfade here at the end. And now what we can do is we can set our start marker. So it starts just right before that clip. And we can just export it. So I'm going to do Control E. And make sure the time span is set to the session, which it is. And this is going to be called Soft Illusions, because why not? And now we can export. So I hope this video series has been helpful as you navigate and learn more about the Q page here in Mixbus32c. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe down below and click the bell so you'll be notified the next time we release videos here on the channel. And until next time, I'm Nathan from Harrison Consoles, and I'll see you in the next video.